Hi, everybody. My name is Wendy Seeloff. I'm the bookkeeper here at the School District of Prentice. Today, we're going to be learning about inflation. It is February 26th, 2025. I did a video earlier talking about the revenue limit and how that's calculated. And I'm using that same picture here because I want to remind you that when I'm talking about inflation, what I'm really driving home or getting at is that per pupil amount, that gold coin in the center of the picture there, and how that has not increased. So our expenses have went up due to inflation, but our revenues, our funding, have not went up equally. We have certainly all heard about inflation because we've had some really crazy increases, especially over the last couple years. So you can imagine how that is going to be compounded when the state isn't meeting those increases with their funding, but we're getting those increases on our expenses. So on this graph here, the red bar for each year is representing approximate inflation or cost of living increases, and the blue bar is showing what the state did contribute. If you take the difference between those two and continue to add it up year after year after year, on this graph, we are behind $2,300 per student in funding inflation. So that's how far behind we are over the last 10 years. So in this picture, it's a lot of the same information. It's just instead of a red and blue graph bars, you have green and yellow. But I would like you to look at two specific things. One, I like this one because it shows you how quickly that trend going upwards there with that line, how it ended up at $2,300 behind inflation. Again, when you keep adding the difference between the two, you'll see some big years that increased in 2022 and 2023, where the state chose to give no inflationary increases on our funding. This is a big part of why we're hurting so bad right now. You might hear a lot of people talking about a financial cliff, and that's a big component to why that's happening in the state of Wisconsin in our public schools. The last two graphs were showing you the last 10 years, but the reality is that in 1993, over 30 years ago, that's when these revenue limits and these different caps went into place. And if we go back to that time frame over the last 30 plus years, we're actually behind $3,300 per student. In Prentice, our enrollment is 395 students. So on my revenue limit, I would be having an additional $1.3 million being added on if the state would have just kept up with inflation. If you would like to learn more about how Wisconsin public schools are funded, please check out our school website, go under the district's referendum tab, and check out the Wisconsin school funding video. It's put together by several entities, and it does a really great job simplifying and explaining some of the basics. Otherwise, if you have questions specific to Prentice, please reach out to anybody listed on this page here. Thanks so much for watching.